What's up guys, it's Cam coming at you from the 2-6. Welcome back to CFR. Today's gonna be kind of a fun video. I was actually tagged by Mike over at 5280 cents who actually just hit the most insanely hard milestone hit of 1,000 subscribers. I can remember back before I hit 1K, it was the most difficult. You're checking your analytics every day. It was so annoying. You'd watch people subscribe then unsubscribe. But once you hit 1K, things really start opening up. So if you guys have not checked out Mike from 5280 cents, I will leave his link down in the description. But what we are doing today is going over 4 beast mode fragrances and the monsters or villains that they represent. I actually went with 4 villains. Let's see what 4 beast mode fragrances I picked and what 4 villains I chose to go with them. So this video was actually ramped up as like 4 monsters. And of course people can look at other individuals and call them monsters, so that's why I picked 4 villains. They could be considered monsters by certain individuals, and I would say so in certain circumstances anyway. The first beast mode fragrance that I picked is Tiziana Terenzi Kirke. Kirke is actually a fresh, fruity, floral, and woody fragrance that actually has some passion fruit, some peach, pear, lily of the valley, sandalwood, vanilla. It's just a beautiful fragrance, and I picked a beautiful villain for this. The villain that I picked for this is Dr. Harleen Frances Quinzel, better known as Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn was an intern working as a psychiatrist at Gotham City's Arkham Asylum as she was treating Joker, who wound up being her boyfriend. Joker did infiltrate her mind, and the whole reason that Harley Quinn got into psychology was to figure out what went wrong with her in her childhood and her very dysfunctional family. Now, I would not say that Kirke is a dysfunctional fragrance, but it is very much a beast mode, fruity, floral, woody fragrance. This is actually a beautiful, fresh, and sexy fragrance. Harley Quinn is known as being fresh and a little fruity. Have you guys ever heard that term, nutty as a fruitcake? Yeah, that would be Harley Quinn. Even with her utmost sexiness, whether it was while she had her glasses on being a psychiatrist or when she let her hair down and dyed it red and blue, walking around with a baseball bat, I found her sexy both ways. So Kirke is a very, very sexy fragrance. It is actually one of my favorite beast mode fragrances to wear during the warmer months. With the freshness in this fragrance and the floral notes, it is not overly feminine, but it is feminine enough to be suitable for Harley Quinn. And like I said, that woodiness for her baseball bat, the fruitiness for her cuckoo cachoo, and those florals for her innocence that was lost as she was younger and infiltrated by the Joker. Kirke also has some musk in it, and if a musk is done properly, you guys know that it is a very sexual and sensual note that just for me actually fits Harley Quinn perfectly. The next fragrance I chose is Jubilation Man, Jubilation 25, or Juby. And I feel that this fragrance would actually fit, I don't know, I was trying to find like a Middle Eastern bad guy, but I was actually trying to think of somebody who is really refined, but yet psychotic. So I picked Hannibal the Cannibal, or Hannibal Lecter from Silence of the Lambs. As you guys know, that Silence of the Lambs is a thriller that has been iconic for years and years. They have had some spin-offs, a prequel, sequel, and everything that you could possibly think of for this movie, but nothing quite touches home as the original Silence of the Lambs. Anthony Hopkins, who plays Hannibal the Cannibal, actually got so deep into his character that he actually legitimately freaked Jodie Foster, who played as Agent Starling, out. As you know, some of these actors really submerge themselves into the character, kind of like Heath Ledger did as the Joker. I wish that Heath hadn't have passed on, because even though Jared, whatever his name is, as the more recent Joker, I think Harley Quinn and Heath Ledger's Joker would have been something to really look at. That would have been quite the spectacle. But as we're talking about Anthony Hopkins going so deep into his character, he did go into a refined character that would be listening to classical music and just luring people in so he could win their trust over and eventually eat their liver or their heart. Jubilation Man is that type of fragrance. It'll eat your heart. It won't necessarily eat your liver, but with the myrrh, frankincense, and oud, which are well known as classic Middle Eastern notes, Jubilation Man is a very refined and sophisticated fragrance that would fit the mentality and psychopath like a person like Hannibal the Cannibal. The next fragrance and person I picked might throw you for a loop, unless you guys have seen No Country for Old Men. If you guys will remember the professional hitman Anton Shakur, who would actually flip a coin to determine your fate under certain circumstances. Can you guys imagining somebody flipping a coin and just telling you to call it? Which is what he did on a pretty frequent basis. If you guys have never seen No Country for Old Men, you really should check it out. It's based kind of like in the 80s. They all have that, you know, that 80s look about them. But even though Anton Shakur was kind of a madman, he was a hitman, he even had principalities or principles as to when he would actually kill someone, and he had some pretty sick and twisted methods on how he done so. He was actually hired to do a cleanup job after a drug deal went terribly bad, but unbeknownst to someone else who actually walked up on a massive shootout with a butt ton of heroin, guns, and drugs everywhere, put somebody in the crosshairs of Anton. So definitely check that out. But the fragrance that I picked for Anton is actually Byrd from Nosamato. Now, as you will see, if you've ever seen No Country for Old Men, they say that even though he is a psychopath, he almost has morals. So I would think of more of like a refined, nice top shelf whiskey would probably be something that he would sit back and sip on while he contemplates, should I kill him or not? So Byrd is that beast mode fragrance. It is really boozy. It almost has like that oak barrel note to it, but it's a really, really boozy and very much beastly fragrance, just like Anton, who would actually use a cylinder that he had hooked up where he would shoot people in the head that they used to kill cows. It never showed whether Anton actually drank or not, but he just comes off as somebody who would actually go to a bar, sit back. If you've ever seen No Country for Old Men, he doesn't really get excited. Even when he's shooting at people, when he's talking to people, when he's flipping a coin, telling them to call it, he never really gets excited. So maybe it's that awesome whiskey that is on his breath that keeps him subdued. Even when he got shot in the leg and he did a diversion and blew up a car so people at a pharmacy would not notice while he was getting what he needed to patch his leg up and self-medicate. Byrd is definitely a fragrance that you could self-medicate on. It's highly addictive and will sneak up on you and might even call it. The last villain that I picked is actually one of the biggest villains of all time, especially if you're a Marvel Comics fan. Yeah, I'm talking about Thanos. Now, Thanos traveled everywhere, all through all the galaxies and all over the world to collect all the stones for the Infinity Gauntlet. But when his powers went to full capacity, when he did that snap, it actually burned his face. In Thanos' mind, he thought that by doing what he would do would correct the universe, and what he was doing was for the greater good of mankind. But just like any power, for most people, it can go to people's heads at some point. So the fragrance that I picked for him is Nishane's Fan Your Flames. And of course, Fan Your Flames actually going with him burning himself by doing that extra snap. Fan Your Flames is a dense, strange, unique, but addictive fragrance. You actually get some of that smokiness in here, but also has some dried fruits, some molasses, some tobacco, some coconut, and some rum. So if you guys followed the Infinity War franchise, you'll remember Thanos. As he got to the place that he had planned on retiring, you could see him grabbing what looked like some sort of cosmic fruits or whatever. So I was thinking about those fruits in here. Of course, you get the coconut in here. You get all sorts of many dimensions, just like an infinity stone. Just like you would get from all the different diverse stones that went into the Infinity Gauntlet. which he wound up destroying at the end because he thought that that power would be too much for anybody. The power of Fan Your Flames fits Thanos perfectly. This is a fragrance that's actually smoky, smoldering. It's just very, very unique and very strange. Oddly enough, I found Thanos kind of a compelling character. You kind of wanted to know what made him tick. That's what type of fragrance this is. It's mysterious and definitely would fit a mysterious character. Even though he thought that he was doing good, he was doing evil. That's how complex Thanos is, and that's how complex Fan Your Flames is. I know that this is a little bit different than what you're used to seeing, but I thought it was a fun tag, so I thought I would go ahead and push it forward myself. And I know a lot of you guys are interested in beast mode fragrances, so those are actually 4 of my favorite beastly fragrances. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass this tag along. First channel I would like to tag is Ashton from Gent Sense. I know you've got some beast mode fragrances. What type of villains would you attach to these? I know you like horror films. I'm sure you could come up with something great for this. Next channel I'd like to tag is George, the Fragrance Apprentice. George is that eccentric type guy that will probably come up with something very unique for a video like this. Last channel I'd like to tag is Manny at Cascade Scents. Manny has been on a little bit of a hiatus, but he's back in the saddle. Manny, I know you're very creative. I would like to see what type of monsters or villains you would come up with for your favorite beast mode fragrances. And of course, I know you guys have great ideas as well. Let me know down in the comments what your 4 beast mode fragrances would be and what villains or monsters would go with them. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Until next time, I'll see you on Carolina Fragrance Reviews.